What's up, everyone, and welcome back. Okay, let's talk about the moment that will break the internet. The moment that had Jujutsu Kaisen fans screaming at their mangas Satoru Gojo, the strongest, the man. The blindfolded legend himself, walking back out from the prison realm like nothing happened. Chapter 2, 121. Gain and loss. Four words that carried the weight of an entire fandom's patience. Today, we're breaking down everything about this moment, how it happened, why it worked, how Kenjaku tried to counter it and completely failed, and why this chapter hits so differently when you understand the mechanics behind it. Sit down. This is going to be a long one. And yes, obvious spoiler warning. We are going deep. Everything from the Shibuya incident to chapter 221 is on the table. If you haven't read up to this point and you don't want to be spoiled, bookmark this for later. Let's get into it. Before we talk about getting out, we need to understand what the prison realm actually is. Because this thing is not just some regular cursed object, it's a special grade cursed object. One of the most dangerous things in this entire universe. Think of it like a biological prison, a cube shaped object with a front gate and a back gate. The front gate is where the main action happens. It has an eye on it. It's the ceiling side. The back gate is the exit route, the emergency hatch. But more on that in a second. Here's how the ceiling works. Someone opens the front gate. The target has to stay within the effective range of the prison realm for approximately 1 minute, 60 seconds. That's it. If the target doesn't move or can't move, they get swallowed. Done. Trapped. Now here's the freaky part. Inside the prison realm, time does not flow normally. It's like suspended animation, a void. Completely isolated, no light, no sensation, no sense of time passing. And here's the kicker. Cursed energy is suppressed inside, which means even if you're a powerhouse like Gojo, you can't just blast your way out. The prison realm is specifically designed to neutralize that advantage. For most people, that environment alone would drive you completely insane. Imagine being in a pitch black void with no sensory input, no way to tell if a minute has passed or 1,000 years. Just you and your thoughts, forever. There are remnants of previous prisoners inside, just bones and eerie presences, which tells you what usually happens to people who end up in there. And the object itself reacts to the strength of whoever it's processing. The stronger the sorcerer, the heavier the prison realm becomes. While it was containing Gojo, the strongest sorcerer alive, it became so dense it was nearly impossible to move. Now, normally, only the person holding the front gate can release the prisoner. That's the design. That's intentional. But, and this is important, there is a back gate. And if someone gets access to the back gate, there's another way out. That's the key. That's everything. Keep that in your head. So, how did Gojo end up in there to begin with? Because if you're new here or you watched the Shibuya incident arc and you're still a bit fuzzy on the details, this is important context. October 31st. Shibuya. Kenjaku, who, just to be clear, is an ancient sorcerer who has been body hopping for over 1,000 years and is currently wearing Suguru Geto's face, orchestrated one of the most devastating setups in the entire series. And the genius of the plan was this. Kenjaku didn't try to defeat Gojo. He never tried to fight him one-on-one. Because everyone in this universe knows you cannot beat Satoru Gojo in a fair fight. The man has infinity, a passive technique that makes him literally untouchable. You can't hit him. You can't curse him. You can't get close to him. His limitless technique bends space itself to keep threats away from his body. So instead of fighting him, Kenjaku set up a distraction, a massive one. Mahito, Jogo, Hanami, Choso, some of the strongest curse spirits and curse users alive, were all deployed at Shibuya that night. Not to kill Gojo, just to slow him down, just to keep him occupied, distracted, and most importantly, stationary you for 60 seconds. And it worked. The prison realm requires its target to stay within range for approximately 1 minute. In the chaos of Shibuya with civilians at risk and enemies on all sides, Gojo was maneuvered into position. The object was activated, and 60 seconds later, the strongest sorcerer in the world was gone, sealed. Just like that. What makes this even more painful is that Gojo knew something was off. He sensed the trap. But the combination of wanting to protect civilians and the sheer tactical coordination of Kenjaku's plan meant there wasn't a clean way out in time. The sorcerer world, the side of the living, all Taitfa lost their greatest asset in one night, and Kenjaku made sure the world knew it. The message was clear: even the untouchable can be removed from the board if you're clever enough. So, yeah, when chapter 221 dropped, emotions were running high, to say the least. Now, this is the part that I find genuinely fascinating. And I think it tells you a lot about who Satoru Gojo is as a character. What was he actually experiencing inside that thing? So here's what we know. Time inside the prison realm is distorted. It doesn't flow the way it does on the outside. The 19 days that passed in the real world did not pass the same way for Gojo. It's more like a suspended, timeless void, but not in a peaceful way, in a sensory deprivation, existential dread kind of way. Cursed energy is suppressed. He can't use his techniques. He can't blast through the walls or manipulate the space at will. He actually tried. Early on, he attempted to interfere with the realm at an atomic, spatial level, trying to bend the rules of the object itself. And he realized pretty quickly it was futile. The prison realm is specifically designed to prevent that. So what did Gojo do instead? He accepted it, he sat with it, he meditated, he thought about his students, Yuji, Megumi, Nobara. He thought about friends he had lost like Nanami. He thought about mundane things too for food, snacks, just normal human stuff. And somewhere in that void, surrounded by the remnants of whoever was imprisoned there before him, he found a kind of stillness. He rested. He slept when he could. He kept his mind sharp. He did not break. And honestly, that's huge, because the prison realm isn't just a physical prison. It's a psychological one. The isolation, the void, the skeletons of previous prisoners. That environment is designed to destroy a person's sense of self over time. Most people would lose their minds in there. But Gojo came out mentally clearer and sharper than ever. He emerged resolved, dangerous, and honestly, if anything, a little impatient. I think this moment is one of the most underrated parts of his character. We're so used to seeing Gojo as this confident, almost cocky figure who's always in control. And here he is, stripped of his power, trapped in a void, and he doesn't break. He just waits. Trust that his students will come through. That says something. It says a lot, actually. He's not just the strongest because of his technique. He's the strongest mentally too. Okay, so now we're getting to the actual unsealing. And this required a lot of moving pieces. So let's walk through the plan step by step. The first thing you need to understand is, why was unsealing Gojo so difficult? Well, normally, as I mentioned earlier, only the front gate's holder can release the prisoner. Kenjaku has the front gate. He's obviously not letting Gojo out. So that door is closed, literally and figuratively. But there's the back gate, and the back gate was protected by Master Tengen, an ancient, immortal sorcerer who exists almost outside the normal structure of the Jujutsu world. Gojo's allies needed to get that back gate from Tengen, and they did. Now, having the back gate is one thing, but you also need a way to use it. Because just having the physical object isn't enough to undo the curse binding the prison realm. You need a curse technique capable of nullifying what is essentially a special grade sealed object. And that's an incredibly rare and specific ability to need. Enter Hana Kurusu, and more specifically, the ancient sorcerer living inside her, the entity known as Angel. Angel's innate curse technique is called Jacob's Ladder. And here's where it gets cool. Jacob's Ladder is a nullification ability. It manifests as a massive pillar of light, and it doesn't just counter curse techniques. It extinguishes them, it erases them. It is one of the only things in this series that can directly neutralize cursed objects and barriers at their core. And that makes it the perfect, almost tailor-made counter to the prison realm. Now, the team didn't just waltz in and activate this anywhere. They chose a remote, open location, a deserted area with enough space to handle whatever might happen when a special grade cursed object gets forcibly nullified. Because when you destroy something that's been containing the strongest sorcerer in the world, you don't know exactly what's coming out the other side. They placed the back gate in the center of the area. Everyone held a safe distance. Hana activated Jacob's Ladder. And here's the key thing that happened. And it's a subtle but important distinction. Jacob's Ladder didn't neatly open the back gate. It didn't unlock it like a key in a lock. It destroyed the curse technique binding the prison realm entirely. It nullified the seal. The object itself, front gate included wherever it was, reacted to that and vanished. The prison realm was gone. And at first, no Gojo. The allied team stood there looking at an empty space, wondering what just happened. Yuji was panicking. Takaba made a joke because of course he did. There was a real moment of, did we just accidentally erase him? But of course they didn't. Because Gojo doesn't get erased, he gets freed. Here's where things get really interesting. Because Kenjaku, say what you want about the guy, is not an idiot. He's been alive for over 1,000 years. He has seen empires rise and fall. He doesn't leave obvious gaps in his plans. After he captured Master Tengen and learned everything about the back gate, he knew that if Gojo's allies ever managed to get the back gate and someone like Angel, they could potentially break the seal. That was a vulnerability he couldn't eliminate, but he could plan around it. So, what did Kenjaku do? He took the front gate of the prison realm, the main object, and he hid it at the bottom of the Japan Trench, one of the deepest points in the ocean. We're talking approximately 8,000 meters below sea level, under crushing water pressure that would obliterate a normal human being instantly, so that if the back gate was ever used to break the seal, the release point in where Gojo would emerge would be right there, at the bottom of the ocean, with no warning, no time to prepare, and the full pressure of 8 kilometers of water column pressing down on him from every direction. His logic was sound. Even if you can't stop the unsealing, you can control where the prisoner ends up when they get out. And if where they end up is the crushing darkness at the bottom of the Japan Trench with sensors, cursed spirits, and barriers all around, then you can kill them the moment they reappear. Kenjaku even said something to that effect. I could kill you the moment the seal broke. That's a cold, calculated plan. Against anyone else in this series, it would have worked. Gojo. The man emerged from the Japan trench completely unharmed, not rattled, not gasping, not delayed, fully intact, fully powered up, fully himself. And why? Because infinity doesn't take a break when the prison realm dissolves. The moment Gojo was free, his limitless technique, that passive, always on barrier that separates him from the rest of the world, was back. 8,000 meters of water pressure? Infinity shrugged it off. Gone. The seabed itself probably got rearranged a little just from the energy release. There was apparently a noticeable earthquake on the surface when he emerged, which is just show up so dramatically the ground shakes. And instead of appearing near his allies in Fortune, instead of showing up at the deserted location where they activated Jacob's ladder, Gojo emerged directly in front of Kenjaku, in front of Sukuna, in Megumi's body, in front of Uraume, right where the action was. He didn't teleport to safety. He teleported to the people who needed to know he was back. Think about the confidence that takes. 3 weeks sealed in a timeless void. You get out. And your first move is to walk up to the guy who put you there and say, pick your last words carefully. Unreal, absolutely unreal. He shows up looking rested, composed, like a man who just had the best 3-week retreat of his life, not like someone who was just imprisoned in a cursed void at the bottom of the ocean. He immediately goes on offense. He activates blue, cursed technique, lapse, blue, generating a massive attractive force to pull and attack Kenjaku. Kenjaku, for the first time in a long time, looks genuinely perplexed. There's a line, and it's one of the funniest and most Gojo things in the chapter, where Kenjaku essentially says, seriously, what is wrong with you? Because he set up the perfect counter trap and it did absolutely nothing. Sukuna steps in, he intervenes to protect the situation. There's a prior arrangement between him and Kenjaku about when and how his fight with Gojo goes down. Gojo doesn't even flinch. He casually blocks Sukuna's attacks while making comments about fighting him later. And when Uraume tries to jump in, he sends her flying with a single punch. One punch. To Uraume, a centuries-old loyal servant of Ryomen Sukuna. One punch. And the chapter closes on this almost electric energy. Gojo back in the world, everyone around him scrambling to recalibrate, and the stage set for what everyone had been waiting for, him versus Sukuna, the inevitable, unmissable collision. Meanwhile, back where his allies activated Jacob's ladder, Yuji, Yuta, and the rest are just finding out through the grapevine that Gojo is free and actively causing chaos. Their reaction is a whole mood, pure relief mixed with, of course he went and did that instead of coming back to us first. Because of course he did. He's Gojo. So why does all of this matter beyond just being a hype moment? Because Gojo's unsealing isn't just a plot beat, it's a statement. It's the story saying this is the kind of world Jujutsu Kaisen is. The rules matter. The law is real. The prison realm is actually unbreakable by normal means. And it took a specific, rare, ancient technique, careful planning, multiple people working across an entire arc, and a character who the story had been building toward, Hana Kurusu, just to even attempt it. And then on the other side, Kenjaku's counter trap was brilliant, genuinely clever. It just ran into someone for whom brilliant counter trap translates to minor inconvenience. That gap between what should have worked and what Gojo just shrugged off is what makes him compelling. He's not just strong, he's structurally different from every other character in the series. That's the return of the strongest. If this video helped you understand the mechanics better, drop a